It's Black History Month. Let me tell you why I'm worried about this. Because of this. Because of him. What up, everybody? I am Upcoming Author. Thank you for getting caught up with me on my favorite media. So, Mr. John Ridley. So all through January and December, DC Comics was very excited to announce that Academy Award winning John Ridley was going to go ahead and do a 3-issue miniseries in Action Comics. The actual wording was an unforgettable 3-issue story from Academy Award winning writer John Ridley. So the question is, who is John Ridley? Well, his most famous credit is probably 12 Years a Slave, right? If you have seen that movie, you know just how much people love that movie. And I say you because no, I have not seen that movie. But I heard everybody rave about how great this movie was when it first premiered in 2013. And while although it may be controversial, Rotten Tomatoes, it still has a 95% score from 377 reviews, while the actual popcorn meter is 90% out of over 100k views. I mean, just look at all these rewards. I know you see it. But before we get to my issue with John Ridley, let's go ahead and talk about what else he has done. Apparently, he's written for Static Shock. He also wrote for the Justice League. He wrote for Martin. He wrote for The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And then this. He is also the credited writer for Undercover Brother, which, for me, is one of my favorite comedies. That being said, I have a legitimate issue with the fact that he's writing for Superman. As I said before, Superman's my boy, right? Peep the custom-made sweater from my sister and my brother-in-law. But with that being said, I really enjoy what Superman stands about, and I have a problem with John Ridley understanding what he stands about. And that's because of what he did to Black Panther. John Ridley ruined what Black Panther stood for in only 15 issues. So forgive me if the man who was able to successfully ruin another black man in 15 issues is somehow going to have the ability to not ruin Superman in 3. Some history. John took over Black Panther in Volume 8 after Ta-Nehisi Coates, after a 5-year-long run, stepped away from the comic. Ta-Nehisi's 5-year-long run is iconic, and I came in at Volume 7 when he did the Intergalactic Empire of Wakanda. Ta-Nehisi took T'Challa from just being a king to being an intergalactic emperor king. With 5 years of build-up, Ta-Nehisi Coates made T'Challa an intergalactic threat. And then somehow, in only 15 issues, John ruined all of that. Here's what John did. The first thing he did was he took Wakanda from a monarchy to a constitutional monarchy. You know, where basically you have your king is the head of state, and he's pretty much a figurehead, kind of like our president. And then from at that point, you have parliament and other people who are voted in, and they actually control the Senate, and they make the decisions. You know, just like England, you know. The people who colonized Africa and coined the Atlantic slave trade. Oh, but wait, there's more. Then you get the fact that this constitutional monarchy chooses to go ahead and exile T'Challa from Wakanda. So he's no longer king, and he's no longer even allowed to be in Wakanda. Then Ta-Nehisi Coates had gotten T'Challa and Storm back together, and not only had he gotten them back together, he had actually worked on quite a bit a lot of the issues people had with Storm being with T'Challa, with her being the great powerful woman that she is. When she was with T'Challa, that kind of just made her a side piece. That wasn't the case in Coates' run. But it doesn't matter there. You might be thinking, oh, so did Ridley make her a side piece again? No, he absolutely ruined the relationship between Storm and T'Challa to where I'm pretty sure no writer's going to be able to fix it. That relationship is probably just done at this point. Like, we had an excuse when Jason Aaron broke up T'Challa and Storm because the argument was he's a white man, he doesn't understand power couples, blah, 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 blah. We have no excuse when it's a black man doing it to other black characters. Then Ridley had T'Challa kicked out of the Avengers. That didn't last long because Jed McKay, who's doing a great run in the Avengers, brought T'Challa back. So thank you for that. And then had been building the relationship over again with the team. But yes, Ridley kicked him out of the Avengers because of the crap he was having him do. But then the icing on the freaking cake is during the 15-issue run near the ending, T'Challa faces a intergalactic criminal from space known as the Colonizer. And the Colonizer, whenever he referred to T'Challa, whenever he was talking to Black Panther, referred to him as the Negro Feline. What the absolute... Stan Lee talked about how all these characters are in a sandbox, right? He talked about how every character is a toy in a sandbox. The next writer comes along, they pick up the toys, and they keep playing within the sandbox, right? It's all one big universe, and everybody has their own imagination of how these characters should be presented and should be looked at. But there's a difference between coming to the sandbox, seeing someone else's toy, and after you watch them play with it, you give a similar story to what that kid was doing, right? Yeah, and then getting into the sandbox and then completely, changing the toy to being whatever the heck you want it to be. You take some markers and you color on its face and you throw paint on it, and now the toy is unrecognizable. What Ridley did in 15 issues to the 5-year run that Coates did was walk into the sandbox, see this toy in a nice, pretty castle that he had built up, and then said, "That's nice," and went and stomped on it, and then completely changed the toy. So forgive me if I watch this man ruin Black Panther in 15 issues, get 3 issues with my favorite superhero. Like, in all honesty, why are we letting John Ridley still write comics? He said initially in his original script when he wrote this, because once he went and did more research on John Ridley and saw that he does have some wins and has done some great things, including my favorite comedy movie. But that being said, Ridley has some hits. He also has some misses. And what he did with Black Panther, which is absolutely abysmal. Please keep in mind that Coates' run is so iconic at this point, when it just ended only a few years ago, that they are now giving it a Marvel Premiere Collection for the first half of his series. All of Volume 6 is now being collected in a premium collection for new readers who are coming in. If you want to know, quote unquote, who Black Panther is and what stands out as one of his best stories, it's this recent story about Black Panther. So let me just say, yes, I did go ahead and read this first issue. All right. Yeah. He is literally challenging whether or not Superman inspires hope. The argument is because Superman specifically is able to inspire hope, but maybe the people he inspires hope in don't always stay on the right track. Now it's coming into question why he's doing this. Because of other people's choices to say that what Superman was selling them was quote unquote too hard, he's now fully questioning if he's even doing the right thing. It's only one issue in. Yes, I gotta keep reading. Yes, I'm gonna keep reading because I subscribe to Action Comics. So, but I will say this: out of all the advertisements for this series, one thing I was happy to see was it's only 3 issues. Don't give him more. Anyway, have you read this issue? Did you read that abysmal Black Panther? Honestly, the way some of y'all talk about that Spidey run, which was written by Zeb Wells, which I absolutely adored, y'all should have been talking about Ridley's Black Panther run, and you were. Let me know what you think in the comments. Share with your friends. Do all the social media stuff. But again, I'm an upcoming author. God saying the same. I will catch up with y'all later. Peace.